Coming at you from yet another day in paradise. I love it. I get to take my favorite AI doomer and gloomer, Ed the Zetronian, and give him a massive wedgie today. Gonna kick him in the butt and send him back down to his mom's basement where he belongs. Okay? Why? Because we are gonna cover Google's earnings in detail that definitively show beyond any reasonable doubt, if you're reasonable, I know a lot of you aren't, that AI makes tons and tons and tons of money. Just like I said it did. But nobody listened. Okay, let's go ahead and let's get started. We're going to jump right into details. Oh yeah, welcome to Ruben Tech. Please be sure to like and subscribe down below. We really need you. Especially if you're interested in hearing things 15, 18 months ahead of time. You could ask my channel. I've been right on almost everything. And when I'm wrong, I admit it. I am not one to shy away from that. Okay, Alphabet's Q2 earnings highlight. Keep in mind when I say this, this is a company, if you know anything about the stock market, okay, this is a company that is almost, 20 to 30 years old, I believe, 20 years old on the stock market, around 30 years old total, okay? And they are a $1 trillion company. And the bigger you get, harder growth is, okay? They grew last quarter 24%. That is a ginormous number. Again, one of the largest companies in the world grew at 24%. If you were tiny growing at that in a quarter, you would be ecstatic. Okay, I would love to just grow my stock portfolio at that. Okay. I mean, that was great. 24% in 3 quarters. That is outstanding. Outstanding. $120 billion of income. This is phenomenal. 17% growth in search. I put this up front and center. Why? Because 18 months ago, Gene Munstercloud, okay, of some boring hedge fund that doesn't know anything but wines and dines its rich investors, said that Google was the next eBay. He said search was dead. Nobody was going to search anymore. Google was dead. And here we are 18 months later, the same people who said it's dead are now demanding. They actually predicted 18% growth. That was the street. So Google, this is technically a miss. But just think, the street asked for 18% growth. Up until a few years ago, Google was only having, search did kind of flatline a little bit up to AI. And for some reason, AI has revitalized search. Oh, that's funny. AI doesn't do anything. No, AI does a lot. I've been telling you that. Search has exploded because of AI. Revenue, $63.3 billion. But that's nothing compared to the growth in the cloud. My favorite clown, Ed Zetronian, said, the rest of Google's business is slowing. Yeah, Ed, 82% growth in the cloud is definitely slowing. Anybody would call that slowing. Guy has no idea what he's talking about. Does not know how to read financials. Okay? Mom. That's him. He's just a big baby in his mom's basement. Literally knows nothing. Nothing. This is slowing? Zetronians, this is slowing? You heard him. He said the rest of Google's business outside of search is slowing. 82% growth is slowing. For real. $24.8 billion revenue in 3 months. That's a run rate of $100 billion growing at 82%. That's slowing? Come on, guys. Where are you on this one? Where are you? Just let me know. $514 billion backlog. $514 billion. Say that number. $514 billion. That's nuts. Nobody uses AI except for me. See this, even this PDF viewer, created this with AI. When I say, why don't you just use a tool out there? Because I'd rather just build my own tools. I could pay $5 for this app that does this, or I could spend a week doing it myself with AI. I'll spend a week. Anyways, this kind of person I am. 22 billion tokens per minute running through Gemini off of consumers. 22 billion tokens per minute, up from 16 billion 3 months ago, 1 quarter ago. That's a 30% growth. 33, that's 33% growth. That's insane. Okay, that's absolutely insane. Nobody uses AI. Well, who's using all these tokens? This is off the Gemini to consumers. This is why I told you nobody wants to be against Google in the consumer space. Who wants to be against Google in the consumer space in the West? No one. No one. YouTube, ad, Zuckerberg, everything's dying at Google. It's all slowing down. 13% growth. This was their fastest growth in YouTube in the last few years, I believe. It's 12% last quarter. So YouTube's still growing. Oh, go figure. Ad was wrong again. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. 13% growth, 11.1 billion. Not as big as the cloud, but still a steady earner. And really, more than anything, part of their moat. It doesn't really matter how much this makes because it enforces their moat. I'll get into that later. Gemini app, 950 million users. Google has 13 apps with 1 billion users already. Pretty soon, it's going to be 14. They will, I got to be honest with you, I feel like they probably already have 1 billion, and this is a little bit of a lowball. If you know, I have a conspiracy theory that Google's already trying to avoid antitrust in AI because they're already the dominant player. There's no doubt about it, you know. Anyways, they're going to catch OpenAI anyway, pretty soon, no matter what. Operating profitability, $40.8 billion. AI makes no money. Sundar said everything, especially the cloud, right? The only reason people are going to cloud like this is because Google has the breadth and depth, the vertical and the horizontal width that cannot be matched by anyone else in the West in the cloud when it comes to AI. That's fueling their growth. There is no doubt about that. Thomas Kurian, who leads the cloud, came out and said that. Plain and simple. All this is because of AI. So basically, Google is taking AI and they're enriching everything they do, just like I said they would. So you people are like, how you think AI, all you think is a subscription. It's a $20 subscription. No. That's for OpenAI. That's for Claude. That's the problem they have. You watch my channel, I will teach you. Yes, OpenAI, Claude, even the Chinese AI frontier labs, they have an issue because all they have is API and subscription costs. Now, of course, on APIs, as I have you down here, they make a ton of money on APIs. Absolutely. But they do not have all these other things that they can extract extra value from, like Google. $40.8 billion, that's a 30% growth, year-over-year growth, consolidated operating income. Okay, that's after all your bills are paid. You take your revenue, you pay everybody everything you owe them, and you got $40 billion left. 40 billion, say it with me, $40 billion. That's a run rate of $160 billion. NVIDIA and Alphabet 2 years ago had the largest year ever in net operating income of $104 billion. They had passed Apple's year from like 2021 of 102. And then last year they hit 120, and I think NVIDIA was 130, or Alphabet was 130. Yeah, they were. NVIDIA was a little ahead. And now Alphabet, just 2 years later, is going to be at 160. 1 year. This is insanity. $112.1 billion net income available to common stockholders. This right here was because, and we have to talk about this. I wasn't going to include this. Excuse me, I got a little something right there. I wasn't going to include this. Why, you might ask? Because I know this kind of stuff is tough for people. That's why people follow Ed Zetronian, because they don't want to think for themselves. They want somebody like Ed, who's a moron, to think for them. And I didn't want to include this because this is a difficult one. But we're going to dive in deep here just for a second. If you don't want to hear deep financial talk, just move ahead. And it's not so much financial. It's just kind of, it is. Okay, this is difficult. Why is this difficult? Because Google recognized $70 billion in gains, $70 billion in gains on some of their securities. So actually, if you look at it and you look at the full sheet, their net income for the quarter was closer to like 42 billion. So it would be just over, it would be just over their net operating income right here. Over their consolidated operating income. So they had a little bit of extra gains off something else. I think like interest off T-bills and stuff like that. So it should be like 42 billion. This number should have been like 42. But then they recognized $70 billion off of other investments. And it brings it up to an astonishing, this is the largest net income ever by any company ever in 3 months. They made $112 billion clean, clear, and free in three months. I want you to think about that. Okay? That is pure insanity. But the reason that I'm having a debate is because, do you count this? Do we look at this and say this is a one-time write-up from Anthropic and from SpaceX, right? And you might say SpaceX was dropped. Google got into SpaceX when SpaceX was valued at like $5 billion or something. They were one of the earliest. So this teeny drop is like nothing to them. So what's my issue with this? Well, because on this show, I like to give you accurate details. Okay, that's what my goal is. But I have another problem. So part of me is like, well, I should just ignore that and just tell guys, hey, you know what? 70 billion of that is the stock thing. Yes, it's the biggest quarter ever. Yes, they still get to use that 70 billion. Absolutely. It's great for them. But we shouldn't expect this every single quarter, obviously. I mean, right? But there's a small problem. You see, Alphabet is starting to behave not just like a tech company anymore. They're starting to behave like Berkshire Hathaway. And so if you watched me the last few quarters, I've been talking about when other abnormalities like this. I think it started in fall quarter last year when they had like a 20 or $30 billion gain. I'm like, okay, we got to adjust for that, guys. This isn't Berkshire Hathaway. Their job is not investing in other companies and making money. And then the next quarter, they recorded $20 billion in investment income. And it was like, okay, another anomaly, guys. It's not going to happen again. And then last quarter, they recorded $40 billion in net operating or in investment income. And now they're recording $70 billion. And it's like, okay, wait a second. So are they like Berkshire Hathaway then? Do we start kind of saying as investors that we are going to use this and assume that this is going to continue? Because if we do, then my gosh, okay. Because in my head, everything I'm telling you, I'm not even assuming this number. I'm taking the 70 billion. I'm literally throwing it out the door. I'm just going to put it on their balance sheet as just cash. It's not actually cash. It's a security. Okay. But at some point, do we say, well, no, this is a Berkshire-esque type company. They're consistently making tens of billions every single quarter, right? Or even billions. I mean, if you make billions, you should, you can be considered like Berkshire. But tens of billions, definitely, right? This needs to be figured into their intrinsic value. Just so you know, I'm not going to make that leap right now. So for us today, we're going to consider this number to be 42 billion, okay? Does that mean that we just forget about, like, they don't get to use it? No, they do. But we're not going to assume that they're going to keep having that. Because if we did, then obviously it'd be like, this company is so way undervalued, it's nuts. And this is not investing advice in any way, shape, or form. The market is irrational. The market can be irrational longer than you can be sold at any day. Okay, enough with the boring stuff. 94.5 billion Google Services total revenues, 15% growth across everything, driven by Google search of all things. Subscriptions, platform, devices, 15%. Subscription platform devices. Why are people subscribing to Google? AI. That's it. That used to be, while it was growing, it was not growing like this. Now it's growing like insanity. Okay? Why? AI. Is that big money? Is there good money in subscriptions? Sure, it's good money. Is it like the cloud? No, it's not. Not even close. Or like the cloud is going to be, especially. Because remember, again, Google's cloud, a lot of that cloud, they're using it. And it doesn't get to count revenue for that. You know, it's insane. I think somehow if you're really into auditing like financials, let me know what you think about the cloud and what I'm talking about here. If you think like, oh no, it's all a wash in the end, or if there should be something here, because again, I feel it's like having a Tesla be a robo-taxi at night. Except for the simple fact is that, because then it's like, how do you handle it? You drive the car around during the day, but do you get to expense it? Not when you don't drive for driving. And you would have needed a car anyways. So see, it's this really weird area. Anyways, 12.9 billion subscription platform and device revenue. Okay, up from 11.2 the previous year. Robust subscription growth across YouTube Music and Premium, Google One, App Store purchase, and hardware devices. This was driven by Google One. Nobody has a better $99 plan. Nobody can have a better $99 plan. If you are interested in saving money and you're going to buy an AI plan, then you have to buy from Google if you want to save money. Nobody else is even close on what they offer. I'm not telling you to buy it. Maybe you like Claude. Maybe, AIs have personalities. Maybe you like Claude's personality. Google Cloud operating income, $8.8 billion, 212% year-over-year growth. Absolute insanity. Just a nice, big, fat chunk of cash coming in. We're talking that's a $32 billion net operating income business on its own. That's bigger than Tesla is right now. That's not even a little bit bigger. Their cloud is way bigger than Tesla. And now Tesla, of course, is way overvalued. But I mean, what should Tesla be valued at? Like, I know by Buffett, like for me, I don't even think Tesla's worth I think like technically it should be worth like maybe generous 150 billion. I think it's probably like a 10x overvalued. Really, I think it's like a $30 stock, $50 stock. But let's just say other people are like, it's the Elon factor, which they do for, 12xing, but they're like, it's not a 12x factor, but he's at least like a 2 or 3x factor. Okay, so assuming that the Google's cloud is literally probably like a $500 million business on its own, just the cloud. Right now, too. It's going to get bigger. It's growing 80% every quarter. Other best performance, $382 million in revenue. Why did I include this? Waymo. Elon tries to tell everyone, oh, the self-driving taxi market's so big. They don't lead in that. Waymo leads. Waymo is way more ahead of Elon. Can Elon catch up? I don't know. I'm tired of arguing with Tesla bulls. Tesla bulls are the most delirious, delusional people in the world. Like they're like MAGA. They're basic Tesla bulls and MAGA, where they just cover their ears and our dear leader, I love him. Oh, everything he says. Oh, I have no mind. I don't want a mind. Don't make me think. I mean, that's the Tesla bull, right? You're just brainless. But yeah, anyways, without a doubt, Waymo is so far ahead of Tesla. Could Tesla possibly catch up? I mean, everything has to break right for them. Everything, literally. That's where we got the images from. Sorry, that was from an AI. It just documented that. Okay, moving on. So I just did want to bring up this. This is the actual sheet. I just did some highlights there. Okay. And what did I want to highlight in here? Well, I just want to show you because people are like, they had a negative cash flow. They did. And I want to talk about that negative cash flow real quick. Okay. Look at that. Now, for those of you out there who remember my channel and watch it a lot, I had that much cheaper, but today I have a ton of things running. And plus, my hyper layout, I'm just starting to add so much stuff to it. It's getting actually kind of overloaded. I need to work on the performance of it a little bit, streamline it a little bit. But I just love adding whatever I like to it. It's like OBS on steroids for me. You guys probably prefer OBS. There's things about it that, I don't make it too user-friendly. Anyways, neither here nor there. I already forgot what I was talking about. Shoot. I was going to talk about something, but I forgot. Oh, yeah. Free cash flow. I had a comment say, oh, you conveniently cut off the video right when you're talking about free cash flow. Okay. Listen to me. Mark Zuckerberg put it best. And I know Mark Zuckerberg's a lizard person and people don't like him, but he put it best. He was right. He said, listen, AI could be the biggest change in the history of mankind. He didn't say those exact words, but he's basically saying it, right? It's something that could be very big, a huge opportunity, the likes of which we've never seen. So right now, we are going to spend as much as we can because if it lives up to its potential, he didn't say it would. If it lives up to its potential, we'll be in a position to capture it. We'll be in a position to capture it. And then he correctly pointed out, if it doesn't, all we're going to do is take these servers and we use them anyways for other things. And if we still have excess capacity, we can sell it off. And this spend is not existential for us. And that was Mark Zuckerberg. Well, Google is basically the same thing on steroids. Okay? They have been saying the same thing. They know how big of an opportunity AI is. They're not saying 100% is going to happen. Okay? They're already having some of the best results we've ever seen 100% because of AI. But this is just a nothing burger compared to the potential of it. Okay? And they're just saying we want to be ready to capture it if it happens. And so now with that in mind, okay, I want you guys to think, if you had a business and you could invest to capture perhaps the largest, most profitable market on earth ever, or you can just sit on your hands and do nothing and stockpile cash while it sits there and it rots, what do you think you should do? If you're a business, you should probably go after it if you're in that segment. And that's all Alphabet's doing. Okay? Alphabet's June 30th, 2026 assets. Cash and cash equivalents. 56 basically billion dollars in cash and cash equivalents. Okay, what's a cash equivalent? That would be like T-bills. Marketable securities. Look at that. $186 billion. What does marketable means? It means that they could go into the market and cash those in tomorrow. Of course, you can't cash in 186 billion in one day. It would really affect the market. Well, I mean, it depends. As long as it's spread out. The market, I shouldn't say that. The market obviously accepts tons of money every single day. Yeah, I don't know. Could you dump 186 billion? Depends. You'd have to really be spread out. I mean, that's a significant amount of money. Anyways, though, this is considered current assets. It's not a long-term, right? It's a short-term asset because it's very liquid. So Google's sitting on $242 billion in assets. Just remember that. $242 billion in short-term current assets, okay? Then they also have an account receivable of 70 billion, inventory, we're not going to include that. Other current assets, we also won't include that either. But the account receivable here, I mean, this is money owed to them. You know what? Let's not even include that. Because you don't need to. Excuse me. Something came into my throat. Oh, man. It was like, I don't know. Anyways, let's forget these other numbers. You can see they have 343 billion in assets, but let's just focus on this 242. Why? Because this is liquid, right? Total cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. These are things you can convert to liquid assets like that. 242 billion sitting on hand. Okay, we come down through here, all this other crap they have. Their total assets. See that number? They almost have $1 trillion in assets. $921 billion. just ginormous. Okay, let's come down to the liabilities. Total current liabilities, $126 billion. Okay, what does that mean? That means that they could pay off all their liabilities. Businesses don't do that. You always carry a balance. That's why it's called a balance sheet. But they're net on current, liquid. They could take their liquid money, pay this off right now, and have a stack of $120 billion bills just sitting there. Like the Joker and the Dark Knight. And that wasn't even close to 120 billion. They just have a big fat stack of cash. Commitments and contingencies, 281. And then we come down here to the total, stupid thing. 640. Oh, that's stockholder equity. Sorry. Can't use that. Total liabilities is 281. Sorry, I can't use the stockholder equity. A balance sheet's always got to balance out. So the stockholder equity is what balances out. So their total liabilities is $281 billion. Okay, so total assets, 921 billion. Total liabilities, 281. Right? You gotta get those two numbers in mix. That's what belongs to the stockholders, i.e. the stockholders. What do we have in equity in the company? $640 billion. Okay? So if you have a house and it's $400,000 you that's worth, and you only owe $50,000, and you have equity of $350,000 in that house, they have equity of $640 billion. Okay? Do you get that? It's nuts. Okay? So we're going to come down here. We're going to look at the free cash flow right here. Consolidated statement of cash flow. Let's just get to the part where everyone's like, oh my God, Alphabet had a negative free cash flow. This is insanity. I am so scared. Where is it? It's like $5 billion. Oh, here it is. Free cash flow. Yes, Alphabet had a negative free cash flow. So what's that mean? That means that after the cost of doing business, after their net consolidated operating income of $40 billion, Alphabet said, hey, we're going to do CapEx of $44.924 billion, which means what? It means we have to reach into our pocket for $5.85 billion. And yes, it's the first time ever, I think, Google has been negative free cash flow for a quarter. And you might think that's terrible, but again, they are investing for something that they think could possibly be the most profitable thing to ever happen in human history. And so what happens if it's not? Well, let's just examine. Okay, let's just think of something. Let's just say Google goes on like it is, spends $5 billion here. Remember up here? Remember again, they had $240 billion just sitting in cash and cash equivalents. Remember that they had equity of $640 billion. Okay. So what does it cost them out of their pocket? I mean, they're almost paying for CapEx. Do you guys get this? I don't know if this makes sense. They're almost paying for CapEx. This insane CapEx. They're almost paying for it with what they earn every single quarter right now. The fact that they have to go in their pocket for $5 billion, I know that sounds like a lot to you, but for a company that has $640 billion in stockholder equity and $240 billion in a mountain of cash, does spending $5 billion out of that sound so terrible? I really want to know. I mean, Zetronians, Doomsdayers, for real. I do not get this. Yeah, they had negative free cash flow. Yeah, you guess what? A lot of businesses have negative free cash flow. But they've never had it. Well, so what? Tons of businesses have had, oh my God, I'm just trying to say, you go into almost any industry outside of tech, because tech has been so profitable for so long. But even in tech, most people have negative free cash flow. It's just like Google, basically. Only Google and Meta probably never had negative free cash flow ever. But every other business, every other sector, going into the audio industry, you have negative free cash flow all the time, especially in the beginning. Go into anything, airline industry, go into any other tech business besides advertising of Google and Meta, Tesla, go into Microsoft, Apple. All of them at some point somewhere have had negative free cash flow. Why? Because you invest into your business. Sometimes you see an opportunity and you're like, hey, we want to take this opportunity. We want to invest. Okay? I mean, I do not get it. Let's say that they double that next quarter to 10 billion. Let's say that they double it the next quarter after that to 20, and they double it the next quarter after that to 40. So let's say over the next year, they end up 40, 20, 10, 75 billion that they spend out of their pocket. Okay. What does that mean? It still means the stockholder equity, 684 billion, plus the cash that they have on hand of 242 billion, minus 75. Yes, is 75 a big chunk out of that? Are they broke though? No, guys, just do the math. Do the freaking math. Do you know that there's companies out there that actually have negatives, that they're just plain have more liabilities than assets? And they've been operating for years like that? There are companies out there like that. I'm not saying they're good companies, but we're really going to cry when a company has that many assets and is spending some money and what it thinks is possibly the biggest opportunity ever? Like, what do you want? What if they, okay, so let me ask you this. What if they just sat on their hands and did nothing? Right? What if they just did nothing? One, they wouldn't have these insane returns they are right now. But let's just say they stopped right here. They said, you know what? This is good enough. Well, one, you can't do that though, because all these people are going to them because they're investing. But let's just say they could. Let's just say they could, and somehow they could just lock in these quarters just like this. Okay? Let's just say they could. Let's say they pay this $5 billion here. They're going to pay, $5 billion the next quarter or whatever. But essentially, they'll get to zero and they just lock it in. They're like, we're not going to spend any more money. So yeah. I'm trying to make a really weird hypothetical. And then AI comes out, AGI, and Google sat on their hands, and Meta spent the money, and they capture the scene from Google. And then Google gets crushed. What's the story then? What's the story then? You tell me. What's the story that all you people, all you do is you listen to spectacles? What's the story then for you guys? You're going to all turn on YouTube. You're going to have somebody like Ed fill your ears with sweet nothings about Google was a moron. Boy, they didn't invest in AI. Ed Zitron, he'll change his, you know what'll happen? I'll tell you exactly what'll frickin' happen. Ed Zitron will change his position because liars like that always, I shouldn't just call him an outright liar. He's not a liar. He's just a showman. He's just a showman. He's a clown. Okay. I don't want to call him a liar. Liar is a harsh word. He's a clown. Clowns like him change their positions because all they're doing is performing on a stage. So Ed Zitron will come out 3 years, and the same morons that follow him now will be following him then. Except for they have no brain, so they won't remember Ed's previous position. We've seen this with the Elon fanatics, right? Every year, Elon tells them full self-driving is coming, and then they forget it, and then he tells them the same thing next year. But 3 years under this situation, Meta comes in, they get the entire AGI market. Google's crushed, and Ed Zitron's on stage saying, boy, what was wrong with Alphabet? Did you see? Look at this, guys. They had a $940 billion in assets, $250 billion in cash, and they didn't even spend it. They wouldn't spend a dollar. This is a moronic company, guys. And now the Zitronians be like, yeah, Google's stupid. They didn't spend any money for AI. Boy, they're the dumbest people on earth. I'm telling you, that's what would happen. The same people, the same morons arguing with me every day that know nothing will flip a switch. Their little chip in their brain will get implanted, okay, by Ed with the new chip, and they'll flip on a script like that. And then the entire talk will be, boy, this company, they were moronic. Look at how much money they had. They didn't even want to spend $5 billion a quarter in the hole, go in the hole, $5 billion. They couldn't do that for the biggest opportunity ever. Boy, they're morons. And Ed will be leading the charge because that's what people like him do. They just capitalize on that. They capitalize on negativity and selling you a story. He doesn't care either way. He doesn't even know what he's talking about. All he knows is, hey, people don't like this, and so it sells. It gets their ears. Okay? That's it. Use your brain. I just went through all the numbers with you. Do you really think a company that has financials like that? Shoot, where am I? There we go. You think a company that has financials like this, okay? If they truly believe, I'm not saying whether you believe, but I mean, at least can you reason out and think if a company has numbers like this, okay? Where is it? Trying to get to the balance sheet. Okay, a company has numbers like this. Do you truly believe? Oh, it's not this. Where is it? Where's the balance sheet? Where's the balance sheet? I can't find the balance sheet. Oh, there it is. Okay. That they shouldn't chase what they believe is the biggest thing ever. Right? I don't get that. It's not reckless. They're not recklessly shipping it. They have imagine they have $1,000. This is the equivalent of spending $5 for the biggest opportunity of their life. This is basically what it is. So if you had $1,000 and you truly believed something was the biggest opportunity of your life, okay, truly believed it, and there was evidence to support that it might be, okay, doesn't mean everybody believes it, but you have strong evidence that supports that. Are you telling me that you wouldn't spend $5 to start a business to capture that? You got $1,000? Are you telling me that, okay, maybe you won't because you don't do anything in your life, but would you be so naive to say to your neighbor who has $1,000 and goes after that opportunity for $5 that he's being reckless? I mean, that's where we're freaking at in this conversation. That's how ridiculous this conversation is. Okay? This guy over here, this moron, right there, he's trying to tell you that this company doesn't do any business. They literally just had to cap how much usage Meta was getting from them on Gemini. Yes, Meta uses tons of Gemini. They purchased billions of dollars of access from Google for their clouds and Gemini, and Google had to cap their over usage. So not the agreed upon amount, but whatever they were using in excess of that. Okay? Think about that. They had to turn money away. Why? Because there's so much demand for AI. They have to turn it internally to their own products. Oh man, guys, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. Oh, wait, I don't want simulated power. I want real power. So this is my thing where I determine the cost of everything. Cumulative cost, 38. Oh, why isn't that? We got a bug. I wonder if it's because I ran it before. Sometimes that causes an issue. But yeah, it's cheaper now. Why is it cheaper now? I haven't shut down anything, have I? Oh, no. There's the extrapolation. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it that cheap before, but it does feel, I think there must be something going on. Server status. This is simulated. Okay, this is simulated. So, okay, yep. Sorry, guys. Yeah. My server stopped on my machine. The Mac protected itself. So it got too hot. Yeah, these Mac Minis, you think they don't get hot? They absolutely get hot. Throw a 4 billion parameter model on there and just max it out, trying to get to spit out as many tokens as possible. So this is just simulation here. So, yeah. No, okay. It doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. That's what I got for you guys today. All of you out there, even the Zetronians. There we go. Oh, wait, that's the back one. Let me get back to here. Even the Zetronians, all of you out there, have a good one. As usual, I'll be in the comments ready to discuss. Take care.